So hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these book reviews, but I'm Joe Brewer and I'm a change strategist. And I want to share with you an amazing book that I recently read. And I have the pleasure of knowing the author too, which is really great. Is this one right here? Money, Blood, and Revolution: How Darwin and the Doctor of King Charles I Could Turn Economics into a Science. And it's by George Cooper. So George Cooper is a financial analyst. He lives in the United Kingdom. And among other things, he predicted the financial crisis of 2008, being within, I believe he was at Goldman Sachs at the time. And what he does in this book that's really phenomenal, two things. First thing he does is he tells a story that's very accessible because he wrote this for his teenage daughter to answer a question she had about why economists just don't seem to understand what's about to happen with the economy. You know, if economists were really good scientists, they'd be able to predict or forecast or at least explain generally how the economy behaves and what it's about to do. And of course, we know from the 2008 financial collapse that almost none of them forecast that. So clearly, there's something wrong with the field of economics. So the second thing that he does in this book that's so awesome is he explains why economics is not yet a proper science and how it is in the process of becoming one. So just really brief background. There's this amazing field of knowledge known as the philosophy of science that looks at how scientific revolutions happen. So like how the Copernican revolution led to the birth of modern astronomy with our understanding of the relationship between the Earth and the Sun and how all the planets travel around the Sun. This was a revolution or a paradigm shift in science for astronomy. That this understanding of how sciences come into being can be applied to the field of economics. When we apply it to economics, what we find is that economics is currently fragmented and at odds with itself, that there are lots of different schools of thought. There's Keynesianism, and there's what's called the Austrian school. There's neoliberalism and neoclassical economics. There's ecological economics and behavioral economics and complexity economics and thermoeconomics, all these different fields. And there's monetarism, or looking at it through monetary theory. What's interesting is that every one of these different fields is partially correct in some parts of what it's saying and partially incorrect. And so what that means is that none of them is able to stand as a proper, fully fledged science on its own. But when you look at all the different pieces, you start to see that there's a coherent paradigm, there's a coherent central understanding that connects the pieces that are correct across all of them and that discards all the pieces that are not correct. So what George Cooper does in this book, Money, Blood, and Revolution, is he takes the scientific revolutions around blood, around circulation in the human body, and how this Doctor of King Charles brought into being a paradigm for medical science that gave birth to medicine as a proper science. And he takes the work of Charles Darwin in biology and shows that all of the different fragmented ideas about biological thinking were brought together and made coherent by Darwin's theory of natural selection. And that if we take the same kind of thinking and actually key findings from Darwinism and from circulation and medicine, that we're able to see what a coherent science of economics is. And so what George Cooper offers us is a coherent story about how economics has not yet become a proper science and how it is becoming one. And in the last few chapters, he even offers his own paradigm, kind of conceptual understanding of what this new paradigm is about to become. And so this is a great book for anyone who wants to understand economics as a proper science, or why economics has not yet become one, and how they can help make economics into a proper science more quickly. So I found it incredibly enlightening, very readable, and very enjoyable to read. And I was able to read it in just a couple of days because it's, as you can see, it's fairly short. It's written in language that a teenager can understand, and it's incredibly enlightening for why economics has failed us up to now and how we can change that situation. So go grab your own copy today, read it, and learn a lot about economics and the history of science. All right, enjoy.